Right. We go. We're live. Welcome back to our Coffee Connect. I'm Carlos. It's my beautiful bride, Chantel.
Yeah.
Epic Your Life. And it's our Coffee Connect today. So, cheers. Oh, it's good to be back. We were gone for a week or so. I think it's been a week and a half since we've done a Coffee Connect. And it's good to hear from you. Those of you that are watching our Coffee Connects, keep messaging us. Let us know what you like about these Coffee Connects and if they're beneficial to you. We're here to kind of just share life's experiences. So
Yeah.
today, though, what you got? We got wrong book.
Oh gosh.
Right here, though.
So we did our Epic 30 this morning. We got our letter back, and so we were kind of processing through some of the words. Carlos did a little bit of a deep dive.
Yeah, for sure. Good timing. And it is, the 1st of June and the end of a 90-day period, in the sense of we look at 90 days. And so this is our final, if you would. We call it a 12-week year. So it's going to be the last 4 weeks or the last quarter of the year for this 12-week year. So it's like, what can we do to finish strong? And what has been taking place in the last 2 months that we can finalize everything. So it's crazy to look at what's been going on. We've had a ton of travel, retreats, and connection, a lot of connection with each other. It was our anniversary and things going on too. So Epic 30, some of you have maybe never heard of this before. It's 30 minutes of very
intentional.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Exactly. Intentional activities that create the 3 C's of connections, what we call it, that creates greater connection, deeper, more meaningful connections. So our 3 C's of connection is confidence, communication, commitment. And what activities can we do in a very short time, very short and concise and precise? And we call it our Epic 30 minutes that will make you epic. If you will do it consistently, that's the commitment side. Be committed to doing it daily. And so this morning, we part of connection is connecting with God, and receiving wisdom from God, and then being able to communicate that and talk to each other about it. Also, then we also talk about gratitudes and edification of building each other up through this process as well.
Yeah, so we call them gratitudes and worthies. So shortened, we call them GWs.
G-dubs. And over the years, we've done this for many, many years, and there's different forms of it, but the core value and purpose of it is truly to gain more confidence through the repetition and communicate verbally, and then be committed to it consistently.
Yeah.
Right. Committed to each other. A lot of times people ask us what makes a successful marriage or what is love. And my answer always is, because love in a marriage is critical, right? But true love is just being committed. And so the way that looks is really important. To be faithful to this process for us has made all the difference. Yeah. So we thought this morning, coming together, we would share, because my question to Papa, or as I'm journaling, right, because that's part of the process of releasing and asking questions to gain wisdom, because what you seek after, what you look for, you're going to find. And that's what my heart was this morning. It's like, okay, it's June, first of the month. We're having a team meeting after this Coffee Connect. And what does June look like as we set a course and a plan for this month? We always do it at the beginning of the month. And so my heart was, what's a strategy and plan for this month? And you going into Epic 30 today, your journaling, what was that like for you? Or what was kind of your heart behind it? Or what were you processing? Because that's really what journaling is about, is you're releasing things, but also you're asking questions and seeking after things during your journaling time. And we do believe that it's very beneficial to write, to actually write. You know, a lot of people type, and that's fine if that's part of what your process is. But we really encourage writing because then you're releasing because there's actually a physical ink or pen or pencil going onto a paper, right? And so for me today was asking a lot of questions about wisdom for this month.
Yeah, so I was looking for solutions and clarity and in a number of different things, and so the word I got back was you want to look it up too,
Oh, okay.
because you had some good feedback on what that looked like. Matthew 5:8, and it was back to it. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. So, you know, it was kind of a simple word back to me. It was your heart is pure, I've got you, you know, basically just a word of encouragement for me in seeking solutions that you know, he's got me.
Yeah, so a lot of times people think of pure and as being, because that was the word that I looked up as we were talking about it, as just being pure and I'm good and I'm right. Well, really, it means you're willing to be tried by fire, purified. It's an action, and to be chastened. And it is true. My bride is always working on herself. She's willing to do hard things because that's really where you feel the fire and the pain and the hurt, right? Is when you're willing. You got to be willing. You got to be willing. Like yesterday, we did our workout. We're sore this morning. We're like,
I feel like I have whiplash. We haven't worked out, like done our hardcore workout in a while, and my whole neck and shoulders feels like super tight and sore. I'm like, what did we do that like, whew.
It was a pretty good workout yesterday. And when we left there, our trainer, she was like, yeah, you might want to take some Advil.
Take ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen, something for inflammation. But yeah, to be pure means to be clean, but also being chastened, allowing chastened, tried by fire, purified by fire, cleansed, pruning, which was a good one. Pruning, and so you're fitted to bear fruit. So a lot of times we fight change and transformation, or we fight, you know, in order
We
for
fight the process. We talked about that last night. We fight the process of purification, right? It's hard. It's not comfortable. It's yeah, actually sucks most of the time.
And one thing I'll say about you is you are you provoke transformation and change. You provoke action. That's you're an activator. Right. And we've processed through this a few times as a couple with our community and at our retreats, you know, being a master activator. And I'm even living proof of that, you know, that she helped to activate me and into my best identity. And a lot of that has to do with her background of over 24 years of expertise in helping people from trauma and triggers and hurts and habits to victory. So it's super powerful to get to work with you, to be married to you.
I received that.
So cool. What else?
That's it.
And then she sent some GWs out to our kids.
Yeah.
They're not home. Our son lives in North Carolina, plays for the Anthem RC, which is a professional rugby team. And he had a fantastic game this past weekend. They didn't win, but he played well. Like we got to watch him live, and then we watched the replay. It's really cool on the Rugby Network, and it was a great game. He played really well. So it was interesting this morning. Chantel's like, I'm gonna send our kids GWs. Our daughter was staying with a friend last night, so just this morning, our time together, but also sending out those gratitudes and worthies. So again, a little thing about always being a flow, right?
Intentional and consistent.
Yes. So
committed.
And your children, even if they're not living at home, or if you have family, friends, loved ones that you don't live with, send them some gratitude, send them some edification, build them up, lift them up today. I'm sure they could use it just like you could use it. And you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. So we want to make sure that we're sowing on a regular basis. So,
And
all right.
yours?
Yeah. So it was
You had a
interesting again,
really
my
cool,
strategy.
yeah.
Where you said,
I said you had a really cool word
yeah, Luke
and
14,
deep there.
28. Yeah, we kind of processed through it some for sure as a for our morning. Trying to go back to it now. There we go. Luke 14, 28. It says, for which one of you, when he wants to build a watchtower for his guards, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to finish it? So that would be, I think, the amplified version.
Yeah, so what I love so much about Carlos is his ability to break stuff down and really pursue the definitions and the true meanings and to get the clear picture of what a verse means. So often we take things just, surface level and it is just a translation. And so a lot of times when we don't pursue the depth of it, we don't get the fullness of what that word means. And I love that you're always seeking the fullness of the word and really like pursuing God's heart in whatever it is you're asking. You're pursuing the matter. It's powerful. And I love to hear about it. So
Thanks, babe. Treasure, it's there.
yeah.
There's more treasure than meets the eye. The surface stuff is good, but when we dig, we're going to find greater treasures. It's kind of reminds me of like oil, right? Or gold. Like you never find that on the surface.
Right.
You got to dig for it. And then you get to the black gold.
And how often do we stop before we get there? Right? Because it's hard.
Yep. So true, babe.
Or we're not seeing any evidence of the treasure. So we stop, we give up, we quit.
Yes. So mine was Luke 14, 28. One of the things says, my dear son Carlos, getting wisdom back from Papa, count the cost and finish what you started. Keep going and be a finisher. I've called you to be a finisher. It's worth the cost. So for me, it was about understanding how important it is to keep going, right? You're 3 feet from gold, if you've ever heard that saying, or like Chantel saying, the oil is just, are we willing to drill farther? It's going to cost us. Well, it's worth the cost, right? And
time, money, energy.
And so to count the cost, pull this up, because what it says when you go to, again, going back to this in this particular in Luke 14, 28, it would be the Greek. And the way it's phrased in the original Greek would be translated directly to English, which four of you desiring a tower to build, not first having sat down, counts the cost, whether he has for completion. It's good. So what does that mean? To desire, first of all, is, I love to break it down, is to wish. It's really to have a will, to intend. What do I want? If I desire to build something,
What I want.
I get to create it. And so it literally says that as you're desiring to build or to create a tower, which the tower is cool because it's a fortified structure rising to considerable height for the watchman to repel hostile attacks, but also to be able to see in every direction. It's wise to have a tower. It's wise to have something that you can, I think of the eagle, right?
Yeah,
We talk
I was
about
thinking a bird's eye view.
Yep.
Right.
And
Be able to see the bigger picture.
That's right. When you can look over, right? We say, we're in the forest sometimes. It's important for us to get out of the forest, fly above the forest, and see the big picture here.
Or
oh
we're
my
in
goodness.
the shit storm.
That's right. Look what's on the other side. Okay, if we keep going, when you get the bird's eye view, you can go, okay, you're just like a mile from victory. You're going to get through that dark, deep forest if you'll just keep going. And the bird's eye view is what gives you that. Mm-hmm. And so in this case, so we've got to build that, though. We have to build that high tower, that ability to see the big picture. And so to build, though, means to edify and encourage, and even means to build a family, like your legacy. So it's really interesting. We just think it's talking about the physical, but there also is spiritual things here. And even what we do with our Epic 30 and towards each other this morning is speaking those gratitudes and edification.
Building connection.
That's right. The worthies that I speak over her is building her up. And I have to know her goals. I have to know her strengths. I have to know her needs. And my wife, but also relationships that I want to grow and build up. I need to know these things to be able to speak it over them to help them grow.
Yeah.
And the more they grow, the taller they get. Right. I love, we were listening to we have lots of cool things we listened to. One of them was about the giraffe. And you know, there's a difference between a giraffe's perspective and a turtle perspective. And last night, Dad found a turtle. It was really cool. I found a turtle, and it was laying eggs, and Dad got all excited because he's all into turtles. Little side thing that happened in our family last night. But that reminded me, even the turtle and then the giraffe, right? You got the high tower view. You've got the little turtle down on the ground. You know, they have different perspectives. They're both very useful, but you can't try to get advice from a turtle, you know, when you're a giraffe and you have a whole totally different perspective and you're looking at things in different ways. Your mindset's in a different place. So it's real here as you're building up and growing. You're not going to see things the way everyone else does. And that's okay. That was good. So in this, it's which for you desiring a tower to build, not first having sat down. So here we go. To sit down is to make time, become planted and confident. And we talk about confidence, communication, commitment, our 3 C's of connection. The only way you're going to become confident in your relationship is to make time. But the only way you're going to become confident in what is to come, meaning this month, June of 2024, is if you sit down and create a plan. Otherwise, you're going to be going into this month going like, what are we doing? Oh, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Well, what are we doing? You ever feel that way? I know I feel that way sometimes. It's just like I wake up, I'm like, okay, I don't really have a plan for today. So I kind of feel, it happens to me too. So it's really powerful then when you set a plan for the month and then your daily routines can match that plan and move towards it. So I thought that was powerful. To sit down is to make time, become planted, become confident. And then it says counts, right? It goes counts the cost. But the counts, if you break down counts, that means to calculate and contemplate. It's more than just, well, count the cost. How much money is it going to cost you to do? No, it's not just that. Money's only one thing that it may cost you.
That's right.
It's your time. If you're going to put a project together, if you're going to do something, what's your time going to be towards that? What's the plan? What's the calculations of how many clients or how many people do you need to get to create the cash flow that you need? Or what kind of process are you going to do marketing to build your company or your team? But then what about your relationships? How much time are you willing to put into that relationship? Are you willing to contemplate and calculate how much time it needs to grow this relationship? Or is it just, oh, whatever happens, happens? No, you got to be purposeful.
And I think even going there too is contemplating the value of those relationships and how much energy you're willing to give in the midst of that, right?
The ebbs and flows of things, like when you really dial down and you break apart that word about contemplate, it actually means to sing for music. And I was like, man, how does that relate? And I thought, oh my gosh, when you have music is very strategic. If you didn't know that, a little bit of my background, just kind of tell you, I sang professionally with my previous wife. She and I traveled and got lots of accolades, and you know, we started writing an album, didn't finish it, but we had some very, very popular songs and won some awards for singing. So I sang professionally. And what I know about music, after singing probably over the years, thousands and millions of songs potentially, and hours and hours and hours of singing, right? Putting in the time, I counted the cost, I did it. But what I learned through that process is how music has a feel to it. It has ebbs and flows, and it's very strategic. It has what they call crescendos and decrescendos. It gets louder and gets quieter. It gets louder, gets quieter. And it's very strategic, and it has a melody, and it has even a
frequencies.
Yes, definitely. There's so much dimensions to music and the tones, and even whether it's it has a harmony or a melody. There's a melody that keeps going, but then there's harmonies that back it up and fill it in. It's very, very complex. very full, very powerful. You have a chorus and then you have a verse, right? But the chorus keeps repeating and the cycle of the chorus is all the same. So when you think about counting the cost, when you calculate and contemplate the fact that it tied it into music, I was like, wow, so powerful. The root word of contemplating is music. Well, if you know about music, if you've ever really gotten into music, it is very complex and very powerful and very multidimensional. It's not just, oh, let's just sing a song. No, there's a lot more to it when it's beautiful, when it's powerful. You can add to it. And again, I could go on and on about this because I love music, but the powerful thing is that it is very purposeful and very powerful. And when you have even a choir, I'll never forget when I was in the state choir and was one of the highest honors in music and was able to do that in the state of Arizona. It was super powerful to get to go. But I remember being in the room with the best of the best from Arizona. And it was all, sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses, right? The four parts. And I was a tenor. And I remember the instructor said, "You guys are good singers, or you wouldn't be here." And presented the music to us and gave it to us, and then said, "Okay, all I'm gonna do to direct you is wave my arm like this." And I was like, "What?" And it brought such unity. We all focused on this director just doing like this, his arm, and it was so powerful. It was the first time we all sang together. But again, we were good quality singers. We knew what we were doing, the best of the best for Arizona. And it just rocked my world in that moment. But what I'm saying to you is see how powerful and beautiful bringing the best together and creating a plan and a strategy and the excellence comes together to make amazing contemplation. So this is not lightly. We think, well, it's just, oh yeah, count the cost. Just how much money is it going to cost us? No, there's more to it than that. Do you see there's so much treasure in one word? It could say so much. So now let's go to the cost. It is having to do with the expenses, but what's going to be consumed in this process? That's more appropriate to say because some of you don't count the cost, but the cost might be your time. The cost might be your energy of having to put forth your energy and connect with people. Do you count that cost? Does that cost thought about? Because when you plan for it, like this last month, we were like, we know we're going to be gone in May for like 3 weeks straight. And we were. There's a cost there. There's a being gone and not in our regular routines, right? There's a certain cost that happens there, not just financially, but spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. So there's so much depth to that to understand what is really going to be the cost here. What is really going to be what I'm going to put into this? What's going to be consumed during this time?
Well, and I think about, when we're talking about building something up, right? Legacy, family, connections, relationships. What is the cost in that, right? So we was talking about time and energy and, I mean, when we sit down and we think about like what that looks like on a practical level, right? I think we undervalue and underestimate the amount of time and energy and even investments that those things take.
True.
And so, I think it really has to do with like, having the awareness of, hey, how many times do people burn out because they've overextended themselves in some form of fashion, right? They didn't plan accordingly and maybe they didn't get paid for what they've put into, a business or whatnot. There's so many different facets of
so true.
Of what that looks like, what that cost actually is. And so when we understand not only what is our cost, what is others' cost, and how do we value them as well, right? So when we understand the fullness of, building anything,
so good,
requires cost. Ooh, I'm just knocking my coffee over.
Yeah, and it's like marriage and relationships. We work with clients and couples to have epic marriages. Marriage mastery is the level we want them to go to. And a lot of times they think, well, what's it going to take? It's going to take hard work. And it's going to take a minimum to get a new habit, because if you already had the habit, you wouldn't need to work with us, right? So we often, that's part of what we're recognizing in with this word of, as a team and a company, counting the cost, but also as we're and helping our clients and the people we work with see that they need to understand there is a time thing here. It's at least 144 days. And that's if you were doing it every day. Chances are, because there's only 5 days a week that we encourage people to do things, and then you take off Saturday and do nothing, rest and really cease from what you normally do. And then on Sunday is family connection time and planning time. So the 5 days of work. So again, 144 days with 5 days a week. How many weeks is that? Well, it's probably about 6 months, really. So are they willing to be committed and create the new habit? Because you're not going to feel comfortable in what we teach you to do until you've done it at least 6 months. The same thing over and over and over. The repetition is what creates a new neural passageway. So, but the thing is like, we have to recognize this, and then we have to help people recognize it as well. Make them aware of it. Super important. And so a lot of times, we don't understand that our time's going to be there, but also it doesn't have to be. That's the thing that we've done that I think is so unique, is it's just 30 minutes. There's the hour of power that's been talked about for years. Tony Robbins, one of the greatest personal growth development leaders in the world. And he talks about the hour of power. But with all the things we have going on, all the distractions, all the information, education, like, we've had to refine it. So that's where Epic 30 came from. 30 minutes to create Epic. It's possible. The time it takes you to drink 2 cups of coffee, or 1 in this Coffee Connect time, you can do the process of connection, 3 C's of connection. All right. So what is going to be consumed and devoured, the cost, whether he has. Now he has, I'll just finish the phrase there.
So good.
I want to hear you say it. He has
Capacity.
That's right. He has capacity. Do you have capacity? Do you have what it takes? That's a good
Grit,
question.
Determination, willingness. I mean, that's a big factor, right?
You have what it takes to keep going and to finish. Sorry, I'm passionate about this. Why? Because I need to hear this. This isn't just about you guys. This is for me. I asked for this. And I'm like, yes, I freaking have what it takes to finish this race.
Wow.
And then guess what? When you get to that level, you're going to start a new race. It's not over. It's just a new marker, a new, we pass through that, run all the way through the finish line. And then guess what? We create a new race, a new target. And that's what June represents for us. This is our finishing month for the year. You say, what? It's only June. We do 12-week years. This is the second quarter. We're going to finish strong this month. What are you going to do to finish strong? How are you going to go through the finish line? Do you have what it takes? This hasn't been easy. I know for us, we started this month. When I look at the calendar, we were with the Kaufmans, Jesse and Adina, who are partners of ours in this movement of Epic Your Life. And we decided to divide and conquer, meaning that they are now solely focused on singles and we are solely focused on marriage. So it's been a powerful journey. But the reality is that you have to recognize the cost of that. And then can you finish strong? That started in May. Now we're coming to the end of June. And we're going to keep going. And we're going to be stronger than ever as doing this divide and conquer and taking more territories, singles and married. Together we can do so much more. It's a powerful journey we've been on with them. So we have what it takes. Yes, we do. But he has, and then, of course, I've already been talking about, he has for completion. Completion means to finish. But guess what? I thought this was really interesting. And you do whatever you want with this. I'm going to leave you with this. Do you have what it takes to finish? I love this. To finish in the now. In the now. Not tomorrow.
Not 2 years from now.
Not by the end of the year. When is now a good time?
Yeah. It's powerful. I love it.
If you want some more of this, we're glad you joined us here on our YouTube channel as well. But Epic Your Life on school.com. spelled with a K, school.com, Epic Your Life. Check us out, our about page. Tell you a little bit more about what we do and what we do to help create extraordinary marriages. We do marriage mastery. And we love providing a space to set the example for you, to be a role model for you, a safe place in our community where you can be seen and heard, and then to love you well and love each other well.
Yeah.
Bringing intimacy and affection.
And I think to value the process, right? There's so much in valuing the process.
So true.
So.
All right. We'll see you Thursday for our